Well, hi there, welcome to Black Gumbo. Today we're going to make some French bread. Technically they're called baguettes, and I can't say it in French. My French is non-existent. But I like their food and I like their history, so that's what we're going to do today. Alright, well the kitchen is going to be filthy today because we're going to throw flour around and make some baguettes. The garden outside, it's about 98 degrees and the garden's it's doing well for summer. My cowpeas are growing, but there's not a lot of garden updates going to be coming until the cowpeas start getting harvested and until we get into a fall garden. Everything out there is in hold mode. So we're going to move to the kitchen and I hope you enjoy cooking. Now, this recipe that I'm using today is from a fellow on YouTube named John Kirkwood, and I'll give you a link to his method. He does it much better. He's been doing it for 30 or 40 years. So I've purchased some bread flour. It's said to make a difference. Well, we'll find out today. Let's start making some bread. So what you want is 700 grams of flour, and you want to do this by weight. When you're making bread, weights and measures are very important. So I've got this kitchen scale, and you can get a kitchen scale quite cheaply, and I've adjusted for the weight of the bowl and filled this with 700 grams. As you can see, 699 grams as some of the moisture evaporates off, but we're going to go with that, 700 grams of this bread flour. Into our flour, I'm going to add half a teaspoon of dry yeast, half a teaspoon, and I'm going to whisk that in. I'm supposed to distribute all this through the flour, and the goal here is not to have the yeast rise too quickly. You want the yeast to rise slowly in this recipe, not fast, not under a bunch of heat, and that's why we're not putting it in water first. We're going to let the moisture that goes into the dough activate that yeast slowly, and that's key to the flavor of the bread. I'll be adding to this 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt. I'm not using kosher, I'm actually using sea salt, but the key is not to use iodine, table salt, iodized salt. So we'll add 1.5 teaspoons of that, and we'll whisk that in too, and we'll distribute everything evenly. Finally, we'll add water. We're going to do 520 grams of water, so I put my container here. I will adjust my scale and tare it. Now we've got 0, and I'm going to use filtered water just because I like the idea of filtered water, and I'm going to pour it until I've got 520 grams of water there. That's a little much, so I'll take some out because I want to be precise here, just so I have no excuses for not doing well. So there's 520 grams of water. So now we'll just add this in, and I'm going to do like John does on his video and use the handle of a wooden spoon. We're going to mix this up really well, and this gives us what he says is a 76% hydration, which is apparently quite a wet dough. Now I'll use a spatula. You could use a scraper too, and I'm going to get all the little bits off the side here, and then we're going to let this sit for a while and rise. Now we don't have to mix too terribly much since we mixed in all the salt and all the yeast into the flour, so it's already well distributed in there. And so we're just mixing to get the moisture. All right, we're going to cover it now. We're going to let this covered dough rest for 45 minutes. This is the first rise. You cover it so it doesn't dry out. You don't want your dough drying out. You don't want moisture getting lost here. So I'm going to go twice over this to make sure it's well covered. Now I'm going to set a timer for 45 minutes and we'll be back and see how the dough looks after that. It's a good time to feed your fish. These are the kitchen fish, rescued from a dinner where they were table decorations. Alright, well that's the first 45 minutes. What we're going to do is take the dough out of the bowl and fold it 8 or 10 times, and it's pretty sticky still, so we're gonna wet our hands and get in there and fold it over a few times. Now it's said not to add any flour here. If it's sticky, that's okay. But you'll notice the dough is a lot smoother, a lot more like dough than it was earlier. And so we're going to do this several times, just kind of sling it out and stretch it out as you lift it and give it a little bit of a slap and fold it over on itself. And you notice I haven't floured my work surface yet because I'm not really concerned about it sticking. I'm going to take up all the flour bits and put them back in the bowl for our second 45-minute rise. Now what's happening here is the dough has that yeast in there, and that yeast is fermenting. That ought to do. We're going to put it right back in the same bowl, cover it, and give it another rise. So I'll cover that after I clean my hands. We'll do another 45-minute rise, and we'll see how it looks then. Set the timer for another 45 minutes. Now this is the second of several 45-minute rises. I'm going to put that on there just to add some weight. The point of the folding exercises are to knock down any of the bubbles that have come up in there. You don't want bread to be so bubbly that it's just air, but also to distribute the yeast and all the glutens and the starches around so that the yeast can do its job. Yeast is fermenting in there. This is a fermentation process, as most good foods are. And that's what you want to do, is get that dough folded over about 8 to 10 times, and then just put it back in there for another rise. And once the dough rises again, we'll fold it again, and you do this for a number of times, 4 times. So that's 3 hours of rising and 4 folding processes, and then there'll be more rising at the end. So it's a long all-day process, so don't embark on this if you don't have time. The time element is the love element. It makes it taste good. All right, the timer went off. It is now the end of my second rise. And it doesn't look like it's risen too terribly much, but it's risen some. So we're going to turn this out again. Again, don't eat it yet. We're just going to fold it over a few times. It's starting to get smooth. Well mixed. All right, so we're going to put it back into our pan. Can you move that spatula for me, Sam? Mm-hmm. Thank you. We'll put it back in there. We're going to cover it again and go another 45 minutes. All right, so we've had our dough rising for 4 cycles of 45 minutes each, and so I'm going to dust my workspace with flour, and we're going to turn the dough out and divide it. So you can see, if you look close, there are little air bubbles in there, and the yeast has done its job. Alright, so there we have our dough. It is larger than it was before, and we're going to divide it into 4. And if we did it right, what John says about his flour is, if we did it right, we ought to have 4 equal pieces of about 310 grams each. All right, I do not have a proper dough scraper yet. I have one on order, but I'm just going to divide this into 4 equal parts. There we go. I'm going to dust them, get them where they're not sticking to anything. So, what we do next is we shape these into, we pre-shape them into loaves by turning them into one another, Set them aside. We're going to let them set another 10 minutes. I'm going to cover them with plastic, slightly oiled plastic they say, and I'm going to let them sit here and rest for 10 or 15 minutes or so, and then we'll make our baguettes. Alright, well, things you might need if you're baking bread on a regular basis is a baker's couche. This is a linen, it's a flax linen cloth, It's basically just a cloth. This lets your breads rise without sticking, and they're kind of specially made. If you don't have one of these, they're $15 on Amazon. You can buy yourself a 100% cotton pillowcase, and it should do the same thing. The benefit of the pillowcase is you can wash it. The benefit of a couche is it does really a better job. You also need a board to flip your baguettes onto your cooking surface. I'm just using a piece of cardboard covered with aluminum foil because I've seen people do this, and I don't have a board. You see that our loaves have expanded a bit. They are ready to be messed with. Take some flour and you sprinkle some flour on our couche. And this is so the bread will not stick. You want a well-floured piece of cloth here. Prep our work area with a little bit of flour here. Since I over-flour these, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Now what you want to do is get it worked into a rectangle here. And what you do is then you begin to roll it into your shape. Once you get down here to the end, you're supposed to use the heel of your thumb pinch it together, and that's not a very good looking shape, but it's going to work. Now Julia Child rolls hers like that. Maybe I should say she rolls hers. Now I'm sure if there are any Frenchmen watching me that I'm butchering your national bread. For that I am very, very sorry. However, you gotta start somewhere. And I'm starting here. And we're gonna let those rise some more. We have allowed our baguettes to rise. They don't look that much different, but you can see that they've expanded a little bit with the cracking on the surface. Now here's where I'm going to do it a little bit different than John does it. He uses a baking sheet. I'm going to use my baking stone. So I have to get these off of the couche into the oven, but I've also got to be able to spray them with water, mist them, and then put the scores on the top. Alright, so I've got some baguettes in the oven there. My first two are in there. It was a little bit of a debacle, having never done this before, to get them in there. But they're there, they're scored, they're cooking, they've been misted, and everything should go well with them, at least in terms of flavor. They smell really good. My other two are waiting here, continuing to rise. I'm going to transfer them directly to the stone, then I'm going to mist them, and then I'm going to score them, and hopefully that will go a little bit better. Alright, so we're going to take our flipping board. We're going to flip it right on there just like so. Mist them. And then I'm going to score them. Four times on the length that I have. You're supposed to go quicker than this. That's good enough. I'll move them into the oven. All right, it's time. Let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. Look at that. Two very nice loaves. Nice and brown. There we go. Now, you know it's done if you thump them and they sound hollow. Those look good to me. We're going to let them cool off there. There's the other one under there. We've already eaten the first one. And yeah, I'll let you know what we think of these in just a minute. You can hear it. Nice and crunchy. These two were my second two. This is what they're supposed to look like. This was from my first couple that I put in. The misshapen ones that didn't do so well. They taste fine. We're enjoying eating those. Look at that. It came out really well. It cooked well. It's got a crust on the outside. It's not as crunchy as I think it could be, but it's a good basic French bread, a good baseline French bread. Not too yeasty, not too salty. In fact, it probably could use some more flavor, some more yeasty flavor. That's just personal preference. If you like just a good basic French bread, John's recipe is really well constructed. I made this for the first time without ever practicing, and I have 4 workable loaves of bread. Will I make this particular recipe again? Maybe. I suggest you try it. It gives you something to judge other things from, a baseline to start with. I'm also going to try other French bread recipes as well. And I'm also going to try some various sourdough recipes, some country bread recipes, and some other artisanal breads. So stay with us on Black Gumbo as we transition from gardening to cooking through the summer. And, well, that's what we're going to do. So, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and leave us a comment. We'd be glad to hear from you. You take care, and I'll see you next time on Black Gumbo. Bye-bye.